All right, we are incredibly lucky to have on to Theater in College Hoops from The Athletic. We got Tobias Bass joining us. Tobias, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you for spending some time.
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing well. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. I could be doing a little bit better. Did you watch
Mm.
any of the NBA playoffs this past weekend?
Yeah, I did. The first set they were bad, blowout, and then the last night's game was good. Yeah, they were pretty good overtime, and then the last night's game was pretty solid. But those other two, I'm hoping tonight those games will be good.
Look, man, from a competitive, entertaining perspective, Sunday was a great day, but I'm a Celtics fan
Yeah.
and I was
Okay.
going
Yeah.
through it. And I said it last episode. I'm so tired of them having to respond and put themselves in a place where it's like, just can we finish this up? So that game
Right.
really it's hanging over me, Tobias. I'm not gonna lie.
That was a tough, especially so he misses the buzzer beater, then he makes the second one, but the timer goes away. That's just a tough way to lose. But they'll they'll bounce back. That was a must-win game for Philly, so they had to win it and they did.
That's true. I mean, you're so I texted it to my friends. And there is an account on Twitter that I follow, and I think it's great. It's like it doesn't just happen to your team, basically, because so many fan bases are like, oh, only this could happen to our team. But I swear,
Yeah,
only the Celtics it'll happen where Marcus Smart misses that shot, hits the shot, but it's like zero point 0.3 seconds late. Do
yeah.
you have an NBA team?
I'm really more of a players guy. I guess I like the Thunder. I always been a Thunder fan back when KD, Russ, and Harden were there, and I'll just still root for them. My favorite player is Damian Lillard, despite him frustrating me, but he's my favorite player. So
Should he be running from the grind?
me and my friend we argue about this all the time. Like obviously, I know that he wants to win because he's a hell of a player. I know he competes. He puts so much effort into it. It's just like, are you really comfortable losing like this? I mean, this what back-to-back years, not going to the playoffs for one. Then it's like, for him, you have to look at it from his perspective. He would disagree with me, but no one really expects him to win one. To be honest, he's going to be the greatest player that ever played there. Crap ton of money. They're going to build a statue of him when he's gone. He's a top 75 player all time according to the list. Why? Why? Like, why would you leave? And I get it. He figures like, I want to get people to come with me, but it's Portland. Nobody wants to play in Portland. It's cold, rainy, and weird. People don't even want to go to Portland, let alone play there. So why would you? No one wants to go there. And I guess my last point is like, I don't like when he says. So he'll be on like another podcast and he'll be like, you know, I want to win, this and that. I want to run away from the grind, this and that. But then he'll tweet on Instagram, how long since I said, hey, bro, like we get it. Like you can't have it both ways. Like you either gonna accept because he's not stupid. He knows that roster's horrible. He knows they can't win with that roster that he has. So let's make a change. But I just think that he's not gonna do it. He'll just be a great player in Portland. He won't win anything.
He's got it. He's got it made, and I think he said that it might have been on Reddick's
Yeah,
podcast
he
where
does.
he's like, I see my mom, or like, my
Right,
best friend comes out 3 days out of the week.
right.
He's got a great thing, and all the things that you mentioned
Yeah,
are true. The other culprit of that, I'm okay with whatever Damian Lillard does. I just think he's got. I
same.
mean,
Yeah,
first of all, he's so damn good, but
yeah,
also
he
he's
is.
just got an awesome attitude. Like the other culprit though is Brad Beal a little bit, and I like
Yeah,
Brad Beal, but he does
he
the
he is.
same damn thing with the Wizards.
Yeah, and his is interesting because he has a no trade clause, so he can literally like trade for himself. So if he wants to go to whatever team and they want to get a player that he likes or wants to play with, he can say no, I want to play with that guy. So keep him, get somebody else. So his situation is, I think, much more intriguing. I think I would at least hope over time he would want to. Maybe they can team up together. I don't know. Maybe they can do that. I'm not sure, but I'm just a big Dame fan. I want to see him on a winning stage because he's good enough, and I feel that he could be one of those players. I mean, you look at his numbers compared to Kyrie; they're almost identical. It's just Kyrie has a ring. So again, is he comfortable with just losing a lot? Because I mean, he has, and I'm on his ass today, but he has some bad playoff losses. I mean, he lost to the Nuggets. Jamal Murray was hurt. He didn't play, tore his ACL. He got swept by the Pelicans the year Boogie tore his Achilles. Got swept. No one talks about that. So, like, are you comfortable continuing that trend again, or do you want to win? But I know he got his money and he got to see his family. I respect that too. You know, there's things bigger than basketball, so I can't knock it.
Hey, let me tell you why people don't talk about those. It's because him and Michael Jordan are the only two players in NBA history to end two playoff series
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
shot. So
I
you're
know for
right.
sure, for sure.
It's good. So I mean, let's dive into you, Tobias. I think it's super important for any guest that I have on to really peel back the layers, get a better understanding of their love for basketball. Where did it start? And obviously, this is a college basketball podcast, but it's the NBA playoffs right now. Just riffed a little bit on Damian Lillard, right? Where did you get your start from? Let's say when you started loving college hoops up until now, where you're at the Athletic, which is incredible.
I've always just been a big college hoops fan. My little brother, he played in college. I've just been a big college hoops fan my pretty much my whole life. I love the NBA, but I just like college hoops a little bit more, a little bit better. I think that just the way they play, I think they like play harder. There's no, time load management. There's none of that. Every game they have to play. So I just like the sport a little bit better. And it's actually funny. Tomorrow I actually make a year with the Athletics, so I'm actually excited for that.
Congratulations, man. That's incredible. First of all, who's your older brother?
His name is Trey. Well, my younger brother Trey John Jacob. He played at FIU 3, 4 years ago. He'll be overseas trying to finally get him a new contract right now. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I mean, tell us about your journey though. You went to Texas Tech for
Yep.
school, and then when did it sort of click to you where you said to yourself, "I want to cover this sport"?
Um, I, I guess my journey was interesting. So I went to a junior college first for 2 years, then went to Tech in 2016. At that point I immediately was trying to get in where I could fit in. So I worked for a paper there called the Daily Torador. Um, my writing was solid, but I was having issues just like any other young writer. So they actually like let me go. I got like a year into it. So at that point, I was just writing on my own. I was in college, so you had to work somewhere, right? So I was delivering cookies. Ironically, I was a cookie delivery guy. So I was doing that for about a year. Then I worked at a radio station there called KTXT 88.1 The Radio. I did their sports show 2 times a week, and I was one of their beat reporters for the sports teams. My time there was awesome. That was probably the peak of Tech sport. Patrick Mahomes was there. Tech went to a national championship in basketball. They lost, but they were there. That was the peak Beard years. Track won a national championship. Um, Soccer went to a couple NCAA tournament runs. So it was pretty much the peak era of Tech sports. And then graduated in December of 2018. Spent about a year in grad school. Felt grad school wasn't helping me. Went back home. You know what happened in 2020? We all do. I was at home maybe a week, 10 days max, and the pandemic hit. So all the jobs that I interviewed for, couldn't get it. I was just like anybody else at that point, trying to hustle, trying to make it. Was working 3 jobs at that point, bro. You're trying to find a way to do it. So, I mean, like I said, a year ago today, I was working 3 jobs, literally. So, you know, um, I guess my biggest thing was, anyone can do it. You just gotta just work hard, and I'm just thankful that I'm in a stable situation working with the Athletic now.
That's an incredible journey, Tobias. I'm curious to know, how do you view your writing or the way you cover the sport, your journalism? How do you view that improvement over the course of the last few years, right? You discussed and you talked about how you just got it started out and you
Yeah,
were relieved of your services, and now you're contributing to one of the biggest platforms and certainly one of the most reliable news outlets that I get
yeah.
my information for, especially for any sport, but certainly college
Uh,
basketball. I mean, take us through that arc and your improvement.
I think it's just all about the reps. This is the industry where like reps matter. You're covering different sports, different whatever, but the reps matter. You got to be able to, work for places and get your reps up and get you just practicing, whether it's on your own time or whether the world can see. And I was just really big into that. And I mean, for me, I was working 3 jobs. I didn't want to keep doing that, so like I attacked what I wanted aggressively. So I was, pandemic, I kind of saw it as an opportunity. People, athletes, they couldn't play a sport. So they were at home just like I was. They were watching movies just like me. So I went DM diving. I was DMing any NBA, NFL, baseball player you could think of. And I had a podcast at the time, so I was bringing them on as guests. And I got lucky a few times. And they actually were nice enough to come on. And that helped not only like my talking skills, but also my writing skills, trying to build a script. I was interviewing. If some of them want to do a podcast, I was interviewing them directly and writing it up. So that really did help me going forward.
I got to take that term from you, DM diving, because I haven't heard it. That's exactly what I did to you, right?
Yeah,
I had
it works. It works.
it absolutely. I mean, what's the worst they can do? Not respond
Right.
or say no. But I'm curious to know who were some of your guests that you had on.
I had Delvin Brothers, the DBs who play for the Saints. Had Lofa Tatupu, Seahawks linebacker. Anthony Spencer, Cowboys linebacker, had on there. Trevor Booker, he played for the NBA for a while. He was on there. Ronnie Brewer was another. I interviewed. It was written, but I did a Renee Montgomery, the WNBA player. She was one. Shekinah Hill, she was like one of the first. Excuse me, she was like one of like two people to ever have a quadruple double, like ever. So I brought her on. It was written as well. I had a couple good guests. I had a really good group of guests. I was just really lucky and fortunate.
Definitely. So, Tobias, I want to dive in now to a little bit of this off season, get your perspective, get your thoughts. Bronny James, we have a
Yeah.
decision. Bronny is staying close to dad, going to USC. First of all, just my thoughts on it. I think this is a great fit. I think USC has a really strong team, and in my estimation, is the best team on paper in the Pac-12 between Bronny, Collier, but then again, guys like Vincey with Chuckwu, who I thought was
Yeah.
tremendous, and Andy Enfield can coach some basketball. Uh, I'm curious to know though your thoughts on Bronny James. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, especially with the player and the person himself. Let me start first from a team perspective. What do you think this commitment means for the Trojans?
And I think that the gym's gonna be a zoo. I think that all their games are gonna be packed. Um, it'll be a good environment. I think every single game, no matter where they are, because everyone wants to see Bronny. But I like the fit. I think that Collier. I was at the McDonald's All American game, the practices and the game. So their rapport looked. It looked. They played well. They played well together. It looked like they can feed off of each other. They also bring back Boogie Ellis. He was a big time scorer for them last year. So I do like the fit. They're probably going to be a little small in the backcourt, but they'll get up and down the floor. They'll run. So I think them being able to run and being, like a pest defensively, I think that'll help them. But I'm excited for them, and I'm definitely want to see what it looks like.
Do you have any insight on how this transpired, Tobias? Because I mean, obviously, guys like me, I'll speculate and say, well, of course, he's close, he's staying close, and he's in
Yeah,
LA, and it's a good program.
yeah.
But did you have any behind the scenes knowledge of how this transpired or what you heard?
Behind the scenes, not. I mean, not really. I was on the train for USC early because it made the most sense to me. So he cut it down. It was with Ohio State, Oregon, USC, G League, OTE. I didn't think he would go to the G League because they never offered him a contract. OTE wanted him really bad, but it didn't make sense. I was like the development. I don't, the, it's hard for them to control the narrative at OTE. The OTE would protect him, but he's not touchable there. And then, I like OTE. It's cool for what it is, but you can't see him. Bonnie needs to be seen. So college route made the most sense. So you get down to Oregon. Oregon has Timmy McDonald's All-Americans coming, Mookie Cook, Kwame Evans. You have Jackson Selstead, who won Player of the Year in the state of Oregon. That would have made sense, but I was told Oregon really wasn't pursuing him like that. Ohio State would have been fine, but they have a really good recruiting class. I said he's not going to get in that log jam. And then they bring back Roddy Gale and one of the other four-star point guards, so he's not going to go there if it doesn't make sense. So you're left with USC, and he's at home. They can control the narrative. He can stay at home. Perfect fit.
Yeah, I think it'll be really neat. Like you had said, I want to see Braun at the Galen Center. I think that's going to be
Yeah,
really cool, not only just for the USC fan base and the Trojans, like the players, but even the opposing players. Right? How often do you get to play in front of LeBron James like that?
right,
It'd be cool to see him in a venue on the road. I don't know if it
right,
would ever coincide right with LeBron and the Lakers playing at a in a road state like USC, but I think that'd be
right.
cool. Tobias, I'm curious to know your thoughts on what we should expect from Bronny, because I think it's very important to look, first and foremost, say he's not going to be his dad at this age. Uh, I think
Right,
there are some
right,
foolish and people who are just, I don't know, maybe they hate LeBron James and they're like, oh, I want to see his son fail. There's certain people like that. What's fair to expect from Bronny James?
I think immediately him playing, so he's better off the ball to me than he is on, which isn't a knock, it's just what it is. Collier On the other hand, he's probably one of the best passers, playmakers I've seen in a long time, and I mean over 5+ years. So he'll make Bronny look really, really good via catch and shoot, attacking off the dribble. So I think Bronny will be solid. He's playing with a couple other guys that got college experience underneath their belt. So I think that he'll be solid. I think immediately he'll be a 3-and-D guy for sure. Immediately from the jump. I think he's more athletic than the traditional 3-and-D guy as well. So you'll see him get those highlight making steals with dunks and one finishes around the rim.
Do we expect him to have an immediate impact for the team, or do you think there's going to be a learning curve, much
There'll be a
like a
learning
lot
curve.
of other freshmen?
Right. There'll be a learning curve. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. He's never played college basketball before, and that league will be much better than it's been before in the past. So, the Pac-12, they play different basketball than other leagues do. It's pretty basketball, 4 out, 1 in, 5 out, get up and down the floor, score a bunch of points. It's just different. So, I think he'll adjust fine.
It's going to be a lot of fun though. I'm
It
excited to see
is.
him. So, Bronny there at USC. We talked a little bit about those expectations and what we can look forward to. Another name, though, a familiar face. Look, at this point, Bronny's a familiar face now at a new
Right.
place. Another familiar face in college basketball, but a more seasoned veteran who we kind of can expect. We know what to expect. Hunter Dickinson. Hunter
Hmm.
Dickinson has gone to Kansas. Let me take a step back. As someone who covers the sport and covers personalities and covers players, do you like Hunter Dickinson from the outside?
No, I do. He's funny to me. So I mean, I like those big personality guys. They're fun because sometimes the sport can be so serious and everything has to be buttoned up. You like to see a guy like that. Drew Timmy was the same way. They have big personalities. They make the sport fun.
I like the way you said that. Last episode, actually, when we were recording, it was the night prior to him making that decision. And I
Mm,
was like, him going to Kansas would be the least amount of fun for someone like me who's just all about the storyline because I already know what's going to happen. He's going to be
right.
dominant. Kansas is going to be
Yeah.
dominant. It's Bill Self. I wish he went to Maryland. But in terms of how we got to Hunter Dickinson being a villain, it's weird to me. Like I personally think he's just kind of a soft-spoken white, like vanilla white guy, but he is a
Mhm.
villain, right? Like, how did we get
Yeah.
to this point, Tobias? How do you think?
I mean, he's been good from the jump. People hate greatness. When you're good for so long, they hate you. That's just what it is. So I think one, he's been good, and two, he's very he's gonna say how he feels and he doesn't care whether he's wrong or right. He's gonna say that. I don't think people like that. So you have him being really good, and then he likes to talk. Those things sometimes don't mesh with everyone wants the humble guy. I'm just happy to be here type of thing. He knows that he's here. He's arrived. He knows he can play. He's gonna tell you about it. So I respect him. I like him a lot.
Yeah. Do we think that he's going to have to rein it in a little bit with Bill Self, or do you think Bill Self's going to let him be who he is?
I think Bill will protect him. I think Bill will protect him, and then I mean, if you bring it in Hunter Dickens, you got to let him be himself. I think you have to let him be. That's what made him such a great college player so far.
So what can he bring to the table there for Kansas? I mean, look, we're looking at a team that's 2 years removed from a national title. I had them going to the Final Four until they got picked off by Arkansas. I'm still kind of reeling from that, but they're probably going to be a 1 seed again come Selection Sunday. Uh, what are we looking at here with this Kansas team, who, in my estimation, is probably the best team entering the season on paper with him? You still got DeJuan Harris, who's one of my favorite point
Yeah,
guards, like ever, honestly.
yeah, he's really
Uh,
good.
like this team is just always loaded, but Hunter Dickinson adds that next level. Tell me about the fit, what you see.
No, I think people don't realize how good of a passer he is. I don't like comparing him to NBA players, but for his level, he's kind of similar to Sabonis with the Kings. He can do similar things. He's not going to have as many assists. It's not possible, but he can do that. You can give him the ball in the low post. He can make decisions. They're going to trap him. He can kick the ball. He can pass with either hand. He's going to be able to showcase, I think, how much of a passer he is. And they have dudes. I mean, you have Harris, Timberlake, who was like a 17, 20-point scorer at times. You have Arterio Morris, who's one of the most talented players in the country, McDonald's All-American type of guy. And you have KJ Adams, who's a rim runner. So I think the fit's perfect. And I think he's going to bring a different dynamic to what Kansas have had. Because remember when they had Azubuike, but he was just a bruiser. He was just a physical specimen that you couldn't stay in front of. Dickinson, he can do both. He's both power and finesse. So I think that he'll present a different issue that they probably haven't seen Kansas have before, and I think they're just going to be really, really good. If they can make shots, particularly Terrio and Timberlake, and he's made shots, they're going to be really, really hard to stop because you can't do anything. You can't trap, can't double. You're going to have to pretty much let them work down there.
It's a great point you bring up about their big men. I'm honestly trying to remember the last finesse sort of guy that they had down low. I mean, you think of
Can't
guys
think of
like
one.
David McCormack, right? He's power.
Yeah.
You think of Doak, he's probably power. I don't know. Maybe this is a lazy comp. I'm going back to Jeff Withy, but he
Yeah.
was a great shot
Yeah.
blocker. Like I
It
got to
was.
be missing some finesse big guys, right?
Because like Ellis, he was there. I feel like he was there a decade, but he would shoot mid range jumpers, but he was obviously nowhere near as good as Hunter Dickinson. But he was a solid player. Yeah, I can't. I mean, Embiid, he was unique. He was unique. Um, he was unique. I mean, obviously he's a great MVP of the league, but maybe him, and that was so long ago. That was 7 6 7 years ago. So I think that he'll just present a different problem that the opposing teams haven't seen from Kansas.
Yeah, this might be a silly and foolish question, but how much do you think NIL played in this decision for Hunter?
God, I'm sure it definitely played a role because I don't know what his NBA career looks like. So he's gonna make a crap ton of money in college, but I'm sure it played a role. I'm sure he's living a good life to be 21, however old he is. I'm sure he's living well.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that marriage there between Hunter and Bill Self. Did you ever for a second think that he was going to return to Michigan though? Because I
No.
saw it on his list and I was like, come on, there's no way why even put it out there for Michigan fans?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of do that to kind of relieve the pressure off themselves from Twitter because they're kids. They read their stuff. They're human. So I think you see a lot of kids do that. With the option to return to the school, none of those guys come back. None of them. So I think they do that just to kind of let the fans be a little nicer to them. I think.
I'll tell you what, I think I mentioned it, but I really wish he went to Maryland because that way he would
Hmm.
have gotten to play Michigan again. He would have
Yeah.
gone to the school that supposedly spurned him out of high school. It
Mm.
just would have been so good for the storyline, I think. Georgetown, Syracuse, I was like, nah, I don't need much out
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, I mean, Villanova would have been interesting. They have T.J. Bamba, Hakeem Hart, his old high school teammates over there as well. So that would have been fascinating. And Villanova was bad last year, so they're looking to get back to Villanova basketball. So I would have been excited anywhere he went. Kansas. I mean, the rich just keep getting richer.
Well, it's so funny, right? For people like you who cover the sport, can you remember a name this big and a decision, I guess, this big in the offseason? Because we haven't had to deal with NIL in the past. So many more names are transferring. And then you think of a guy like Hunter Dickinson. I mean, people were doing their best to make it like like for NBA free agency, which is a whole nother beast where
Yeah,
folks are like looking at different airplane travel schedules and like these grainy photos. I remember they took a grainy photo of Hunter stepping out of the SUV and Kyle Neptune's
yeah.
there greeting him. Right? Can you remember another? I don't know. This isn't the LeBron decision, but another decision like this in college basketball that people were so keen on.
No, because I think too. I think what made it so big was how quiet like this camp. People were speculating. No one really knew until the end type of vibe. So I like how he handled it. I like how it was super quiet and he picked the right school for him. So, but no, I can't think of because the portal's so new. Before you had to sit out, so no one was transferring. So I can't think of another big decision. I'm sure over the years we'll have another one of these. It might even be next year. Who knows? It could be this year. Who knows? But I think we'll see more of this going forward.
I think it's a great point you bring up also, Tobias. He did keep it close to the vest. And
Yeah,
for a guy that a lot of people may describe as flapping his gums and a villain and this braggadocious bravado, uh, when it comes to his decision, he kept it close. He did what he took
yeah,
care of what he had to do.
that's
Um,
it.
Another huge name recently that transferred, Matthew Cleveland. He's going
Hmm.
to Miami now from Florida State. I don't know if you saw that photo of him from this past season doing the U downwards, but that is of
Mm,
course resurfaced.
yeah,
Um, Any thoughts on Matthew Cleveland heading to the in-state rival?
A good player. He'll just come in and take over Isaiah Wong's spot. I think he's talented enough to even maybe even be a pro one day. He was the top, what, 50, 40 kid in the country. So I think that him getting out of the environment that he was in and going to a winning program. In Florida State, they've generally won. His last year, they weren't very good. So him going to a team that just came off a Final Four run, he'll be right there next to Nigel Pack. I think they'll be good. I think they'll have a good chance. Norchad on the year should come back as well. They'll be legit. They'll have a good team again next year, and I'm excited to see them.
How much do you think? I'm just trying to picture this here, okay? Like you're a 18, 19-year-old kid, and Jim Larinaga, who was old when I was 18 and 19, which was about 15 years ago, is
Yeah.
coming to knock on your door, and he's still getting it done with transfers and recruits, and he's staying recent, he's staying up to date, he's staying cutting edge, like you said, right off of a Final Four berth and an Elite Eight the year prior. So winnings matter, but it's honestly crazy to me the job that Jim Larinaga is doing in this stage of his career.
You know, it's crazy. I mean, one, it's hard to turn down Miami, just all the things that come with it. NIL's popping. You know, when Miami calls, most schools probably not going to be able to match what they're willing to offer, and they're good. You know, they're good. So when you add in location, coach, winning, money, it's hard to say no to that. And you know, and them coming off of a Final Four. I mean, no one thought Miami was going to the freaking Final Four. No one thought that. So them coming off such a recent, having so much success recently, I think that played a significant role in this decision. And he didn't go far. You know, he didn't go that far from where he played. So I I think I think it makes it, but he's done a phenomenal job. People were starting to write him off, you know, after a little while, you know. So for him to be able to bounce back at this age, where the coaches are getting younger and younger, and the sport has just changed drastically, he's done a phenomenal job.
It's kind of crazy to see the state of Florida State now, though. And when I say the state of the program, maybe you can
Yeah.
help me out with my words, Tobias. But Florida State right now, where would you rank them in terms of schools in Florida? Right, we had two of them in the Final Four in Miami and FAU.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Florida, who actually is playing under first year Todd Golden. I thought they did well. They lost Castleton at the end with a broken hand, but Florida State has just really struggled the last couple of years.
They struggled. I think some of the guys that they brought in, they just didn't pop. They didn't hit like they probably thought they were. They have a good recruiting class coming in, a portal class coming in, I'll say. So maybe, you know, they'll get back to that Florida State thing. But he was known for, you know, length and depth. It's kind of hard to do that when your starters aren't very good. So you know, so I think he has to just kind of get back to what it was. And I trust Leonard. He's a great coach. I think he'll eventually get those guys back to what it was. But I don't know. I just think maybe sometimes the appeal of it isn't, you know, isn't what it's been before in the past. And when you have schools like FAU and Miami and even Florida, they're they have guys putting them in the NBA. I think that also plays a role into it. You know, now he has to compete. Before Florida State, they were just better than everyone. So now he actually has to compete against those other schools.
I do want to see him pop back up because I do like Leonard Hamilton, and I want to see
Yeah,
the ACC, more competitive. I actually thought they got a bad rap this last year.
yeah,
I think a lot of people were dumping on the ACC, and then all of a sudden, yet again, Final Four team from the ACC. Duke
yeah.
was playing really well towards the end of the season. I think Virginia was there. Obviously, they got upset, but I didn't think the ACC was as bad as a lot of people might have said it was this past year.
Yeah, I think it's one because the Big 12 was so good, one, and then you know the ACC they're gonna knock on. They have so many teams. So I mean, what was it? 4 years ago, they sent what 8 teams there, some big number like that. So I think that, you know, Zion kind of sensationalized the ACC for a little bit because how popular it was. And, you know, when you have Duke and Carolina, when they're not, you know, Duke put it on at the end, towards the end of the season, but you have Carolina, who's the preseason one, they don't even make the tournament. That's tough.
Well,
That's yeah.
it is, but you know who really disappointed me, man? Because I was ready to go 10 toes deep just because I like new, fresh blood. Clemson. Clemson had a
Mm,
great start to the season, and then the
yeah.
wheels just came off. I was like, look, I think they're going to get across the finish line. They don't even get their name called on Selection Sunday. It hurt me.
You know, I like the team. You know, they had some injuries in the middle of the year. Um, Yeah, that was, and I like the team. I know there's a couple of guys in there stuff. I wanted to make the tournament so bad. They just haven't been, you know, good in a while. And I want to see them get there. Maybe they'll be able to pull something off next season.
Since we're on the ACC, between these teams, who do you think is poised to make a who do you think is the most dangerous to punch their ticket to the dance, whether it be winning the ACC tournament, which is difficult to know, or getting an at large? BC, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame.
I'm I'm probably gonna go with Georgia Tech. So you bring over Amari Abrams. I'm from Houston. He's a Houston boy, so I'm always gonna root for him. Miles Kelly should come back. You bring over Kawasi Reeves from Florida. You brought in the big from NC State. And I just trust coach. I just trust Stoudemire. I think he coached in the NBA. He played in the NBA. I think that he'll be able to bring players over there. I think I trust them a little bit. Yeah, the most out of those group of three, I'll trust them the most. Notre Dame, had a coaching change. I'll go with Georgia Tech.
I'm looking forward to it. I got to root for Georgia Tech, and I'm an Arizona guy. If Damon doesn't work out, I'm wondering what the next Arizona point guard is that they'll bring in to be their head
Yeah.
coach, of course. But no, that's interesting, and I want to see those three teams get back to their winning ways. So Tobias, I want to focus in on your school though, right? I want to focus
Hmm.
in on Texas Tech because when we take a look at this 6 to 7 year window, I think people are going to forget about how tumultuous it really has been. And when I say tumultuous, I mean both ups, which were great, and some of
Yeah.
the downs, which are really low. But this 6 year window has been crazy for the folks
Yeah.
in Lubbock. And I want to get your perspective on a lot of things. Uh, First and foremost, this past season and with Mark Adams, because 2 years ago, it seemed like folks didn't want to leave Texas Tech even when Chris
Yeah.
Beard did because Mark Adams was going to succeed him.
Right.
And now here we are with him gone and obviously a new head coach who we'll get into. But crazy past couple seasons first. We'll start there.
Yeah. I mean, it was a crazy couple of years. You have the big years. First year they weren't good, which is expected. Then they immediately go to an Elite Eight. Then they go to a national championship game the following year. Beard leaves. They don't miss a beat. They go to with a Sweet 16. They were moments from going to another Elite Eight. So I think one at that time the culture was so strong and the tech was fun. They were the new hottest thing on the block at the time, and not only did people want to come in and play, their admissions were skyrocketing. Everyone wanted to go to tech. You saw even their enrollment went up because it was buzzy, it was cool. So I think they kind of have to get back. And I think McCaslin will do. They have to kind of get back with what got them there. I know he'll do things his own way, which he should, but Tech is not a place where they're going to get McDonald's All American 5-star guys. Look at the players that they've had the last couple of years. These aren't 5-star kids. These are under the radar, grinded out type of players. And I think that's what you can sell and what you can recruit there. So every school they have a niche. You hear Jay Wright when he was coaching at Villanova, he didn't recruit McDonald's All American because he wanted guys to be there for a few years. Villanova was the same way. They would bring up in Virginia. They wouldn't recruit McDonald's All American players. They would bring in those 4-star, 3-star guys. You can go to the NBA. You're probably going to be here a couple of years, and that's why they're good every single year because they found their niche and they stuck to it. I think Tech has to get back to doing that.
So when Mark Adams was dubbed the head coach, did you think that this could be the long-term solution?
Mm, I thought it was not like Mark. I just thought it was. I thought it was a safe hire. I thought it was safe. I mean, when you have Beard leave so abruptly, and especially how he did it, they were a little hurt. Fans were hurt. Everyone was hurt. So
A
you
little
bring
bit.
over his, yeah, they were hurt. So you bring over his number two, and I think it was a safe, easy hire. But also he was older. I didn't think he would be coaching forever. So at some point, this was, I didn't think it would end in 2, 3 years, but I thought that he would be a little bit longer. But I didn't think he would be coaching that long term. No.
I'll tell you what, I picked them to the Elite Eight last year.
Mm,
They gave Duke a hell of a game, man.
yeah, they
They
did.
gave Duke a hell of a game, and I thought they were going to be able to pull that off. But Texas Tech, you talk about that culture. It's one of the main reasons why I actually picked them to go deep the last couple of tournaments. I mean,
Yeah,
we saw it, and I'm looking forward to what Grant McCaslin can build because, as a matter of fact, when that job opened up earlier this past season, I was saying, look out for Grant McCaslin, who knows the recruiting area. He's done great things at North Texas. He beat Purdue in the NCAA tournament. What do you think Grant McCaslin's going to bring to Lubbock?
I think right now the culture has kind of been shaky. They need some stability. It's hard for kids to thrive and play well when it's unstable. That's in any sport. So I think that he'll come in and make it stable. He'll do things his own way, which he should, but I think he'll just bring back some respect and just overall stability to the program. Because I think right now they had a bunch of mess going on last year. Get all that stuff out the way, and he's going to come in there and get it back to how it should be. There's just certain things that shouldn't be public, that shouldn't be out there, and I think he'll fix all those things and get that program back in shape, going in the uprise.
Texas Tech, even throughout a tough season last year, they made it interesting at the end, right? There was some bubble talk, and then I forget who they lost to, but it was maybe the second to last game of the season. That was like, all right, you got to win the conference tournament now. But the pieces could still be there, and I'm looking forward to. I always enjoy seeing a coach who's paid his dues and has shown success at a mid-major level now come up to the big time, especially in the Big 12.
All right.
All right, let's get to some quick hitters though here, Tobias, if you don't mind. We'll have a little fun here. All right, I'm looking on your Twitter bio. Bass Bomb. You got to tell us about this. Is it strictly alliterative? Where did that come from?
One of my mentors, his name is Sean. I was breaking some news. He said, Tobias, you have to get like a slogan like Woj has the Woj bomb. We were sitting there going back and forth. I don't even know why we were doing. We were going back and forth. He was like, base bomb? No, that doesn't know. He said, that's not your last name. He said, wait, Bass bomb. I said, that'll work. I think that'll work. So I started like tweeting it at the end of my tweets. And it took off. I think it's kind of cool actually that it kind of just took off. People like it. Some people don't like it. I think it's kind of like arrogant in a way. So I stopped tweeting it at the end of my tweets because they thought it was like me being arrogant. So I just took it out of my tweet. I left it in my bio.
No, man. What do I have to do to get you to get back to that? Who cares
No,
about
I'll get no, I'll get back to doing it. I always thought it was cool. Some people don't kind of tweet it for me, so I always think that's kind of cool. So I like it.
What was the story you were breaking? Do you remember? Like that inspired Bass Bomb?
I don't think it was something specifically. I think it was just overall. I was just breaking some portal news and some recruitment news over that particular summer and spring, and he was just like, "You got to come up with the slogan."
Gotcha. All right. Hey, Tobias, I want to get back to Texas Tech real quick. It's, we're
Okay.
still having some fun. I'm going to show you a picture. All right.
Okay.
Can you tell me who this was out on? And for those that can't see, this is the controversial Davide Moretti, DeAndre Hunter play. Who's this ball out on?
I mean, so I was actually there for this game. I was covering this game. I was here. So, based on this picture, first of all,
not even based on the
Davide
picture. What did you think?
I thought Davide was fouled. I thought that he was. They beat him up, and then they didn't call it. I'm not going to blame the whole game on this one particular play, but this was huge right here. This was huge, and I thought that Davide got fouled. They should have called it, but the refs saw it differently.
So you're there in the building. You said you're covering it, right? So was it difficult to sort of take your fan hat off and put on your journalism hat, or did you even have to do that?
So you're always told in meeting when you're at events like this, you can't cheer. Well, I wasn't cheering, but everyone in the building wanted Tech to lose. Like, so the media guys sitting next to me, they would Tech would make a shot, they would be pissed. I was like, I didn't even think you could do that. Like, I thought you had to be like pretty stoic, pretty quiet in the media room, but they were pissed when like Tech took leads and they were looking like it might have gone Tech's way. I thought that was super weird. I didn't cheer or anything like that because I want to be as professional as possible, but I thought that was really, really odd. Some of these dudes, these were like big writers. These were big writers. They were like cheering against Tech, and I was like, I guess I didn't want to be that guy, but I was quiet. I didn't cheer. I was pissed when they lost, but I was pretty quiet.
Do you think it was a result of? I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. Them saying, "Look, I got the perfect write up for this turnaround season for Virginia." It's like if Tech wins, I don't have that, but if Virginia wins, it's from arguably the greatest upset ever to, at that point it was, greatest upset ever, to national champions. That I'm assuming that's what they were going for.
Yeah, I think just Tech winning wouldn't have been the pretty story. I mean, it was kind of like this year's Final Four. I mean, FAU they did was awesome, but everyone wanted UConn because it made the most. It was the easy story to write. They get the fifth championship. Hurley, they have NBA players. People weren't checking for FAU 2 months ago, a year ago. The program's not even that old. You look at Miami, Larry Nagel was interesting, but who else on that team was like really interesting? They didn't have the storyline. And San Diego State had a bunch of 30-year-olds playing. So no one thought that story was interesting either. So UConn would have been the prettier story, and they're the closest thing they had to a blue blood at the time that was there.
Man, I get all that. I do. But being from the Northeast and not having gone to UConn, which in hindsight, from a strictly basketball perspective, was one of the worst
Yeah,
decisions I've ever made. But can I play devil's advocate and be like, I've seen this literally what four
you're right.
four times
You're
before? I can't do it
right.
anymore, man. I can't do it with these guys anymore.
Yeah, no, no, you're right. I guess I find it interesting how people they get mad when people win, but certain sports they don't complain or cry. When the Lakers and Celtics win championships, no one says a thing. When UConn women basketball was winning championships every year, didn't say nothing. Alabama didn't say anything. But in certain sports, Patriots they just hate it. They just hate that they win all the time. And I was like, I always wonder why do we do this for certain sports?
It's so true, and maybe not even strictly sports. But
Yeah,
like you got the Warriors. I mean, you mentioned the
right,
Lakers and Celtics, but you got the Warriors. Everyone hates them
right. They hate them.
after
They
this.
hate them.
It's
They hate
so
them. So
funny.
I always just find it's weird why we do that for certain sports.
Yeah, UConn's really not a villain, are they? Maybe to some of their
Yeah,
Big East rivals like Providence or
yeah,
Georgetown or something like that. But
yeah,
I mean, it's not like Bobby Hurley is the quietest person.
yeah.
They
Right.
got some villain tendencies, don't they?
No, definitely they do.
Um, hey, tell me about the team or the person you have had the most fun covering in your journey.
The team or the person I had the most fun covering? That's a good question. I mean, only teams. I mean, I was up close in person with the tech teams. I always thought that was cool. I guess for me, believe it or not, as far as a team I've covered, I always liked covering. When I was at tech, I always liked covering women's soccer. Women's soccer team. They were one. They were really good when I was there. Then two, just kind of getting to know them personally because they didn't. I mean, they were good and people came out and supported them, but it was just different. It wasn't like football, like basketball. So being around them and the coach, he had a really really big. He had a really 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 big personality, so he always made it fun for us. As media guys, he kind of like challenge us in a way. But no, that was probably the most fun team that I've had.
Very cool. Who in the media space have you ever been starstruck by someone in the media space that you've met, like covering games or working on something? Um, have you had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and is there anyone that's kind of stopped you in your tracks?
Um, Starstruck, no. But I was at the McDonald's All-American game I guess a couple of months ago now. I got to meet Rich Paul. We were sitting in the tunnel waiting to go to our seats, and he was sitting right next to me. I mean, he's actually really nice. He's actually like really really nice. So getting to talk to him for a couple of minutes was pretty cool.
That's amazing. That is
Yeah, it
amazing,
was
man. Like
cool.
he
Yeah,
is
it was yeah,
Rich Paul is truly one of the greatest American success stories in my
yeah,
estimation.
he is. He is. He definitely is.
Did you get to meet Adele too? Was she there?
No, no, Dale was not there, but LeBron and his family were. They were right next to him as well. So, but no, Rich, he was really really nice though. I never met him before at that time, but he was a good guy.
I mean, were you able to chop it up about certain things? Like what were you guys talking about?
We were just talking about I really want to introduce myself. We have a mutual friend in the NBA, so once he knew that I knew him, he was pretty much cool going forward after that.
That's very cool. I mean,
Yeah.
that'd be that stopped me in my tracks for sure. Tobias, I'm curious to know, and I think this is good advice for anyone who's looking to get into the industry. What would you say the biggest challenge in your day to day is for your job?
The biggest challenge is I guess that for me, people, everyone wants to be first, but I'm more big on being right. I'd rather be second and right than first and wrong. So especially like with me as a newsbreaker per se, you got to get that stuff right. Because everyone wants to rush and post something. So for me, credibility is everything, especially working for the Athletic. Me as an individual, you want to be credible no matter what. So taking those few seconds, that text message, that extra call, I think generally speaking, it goes a long way in the long run.
I mean, do you think you're seeing that in the media space? I'm not asking you to name names or anything like that, but do you think you're seeing a a rush to just break news, regardless if it's accurate or not?
I see it in some areas. Some areas yes, some areas no. I think the ones that do it the right way, they end up getting the most out of it. I think some of the ones that do rush or whatever, you may have a tough time. So I think you just have to just be careful, especially on social media. Now social media is just different. It's just different. So you have to be careful in this. Because it's amazing how fast a tweet can blow up or how fast something can get around. So I just think you have to be careful with what you're posting and how you go about it.
From a personal standpoint, I mean, I'm glad you said that because from a personal standpoint, I had mentioned free agency. We were talking about the Hunter Dickinson decision, and
Yeah.
because it went on for so long, I personally I don't care or have the time to deal with the
Yeah.
drama and the waiting out and all the speculation. Really, like this account with 5,000 followers, which seems credible, right? That's the only way we
Yeah.
base credibility these days. Says Hunter Dickinson's going to Maryland, and it's like, oh, I heard that. Like, there's no point
Yeah.
for me to get that
Yeah.
worked up until I hear it from a credible source. So, here's
Yeah.
what I'm going to do for all my college basketball news. I'm just going to search Bass Bomb, maybe even the little fish
Yeah.
emoji, and that's how I'll validate. All right, you good with that?
Right. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. I definitely appreciate it.
Tobias, I'm going to get you out of here on this. This is what we ask every one of our guests that have been so kind to join. Talked about DM diving, and I did that with you. But we have this segment called "Bring Them Up on Stage." Tobias,
Okay.
is there anyone that you can recommend in the college basketball space or even outside that you think would have fun coming on to this program and sharing some stories as you were so kind to do?
Anyone that I would recommend having some stories? Um,
Who do you think I should reach out to, basically?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, if you met Joe Tipton before,
DM'd him. I have not gotten a response from him, though.
I'll ask him. I mean, he's a great guy. Really, really, I mean, he's really good at what he does. I always tell him all the time. I think he's the future. I think he's a generational talent. I just love his work and how he goes about things. He would be one that I would recommend because he has story. I mean, this dude, he's younger than me, and he's been doing it for so long at such a high level. So I can only imagine the stories and things that he could that he can share with you for sure.
All right. I might have to reach back out to Joe. Um, any other individuals that you can think of in the space or anyone that, former players, coaches, anything like that?
Um, I'm talking. I mean, there has to. I feel like if you could, I mean, Renee Montgomery, because she'll talk. If you could talk to her, she has really interesting stories, interesting perspectives on certain things. She'll give you a good story. Delvin Bro, I talked about him earlier. Really good guy. He's a talker, so he'll share. If you ask him the right questions, he'll definitely share. He'll give you some good information just about as a player, so that went on in the locker room, certain things like that. Um, and then one of my other buddies, RC Maxfield, he's actually the one that helped me get the radio job when I was at Tech. So I always have a bunch of admiration and respect for him as well. He was at Tech a little longer than me, so he probably could give you some good, really good, inside stuff about Tech as well from probably all sports.
I love it. Tobias, this has all been so super fun. Some great names that I'll be sure to track down. I might be tugging on your shirt and dropping your name as well, though, saying I was lucky enough to chat it up with Tobias. But thank you so much for jumping on, spending some time and sharing your insights. Had a lot of fun, man.
No problem, man. Thank you. I mean, I've been on a few podcasts since the new year started. I don't say this because we're on. I think this might have been my favorite one. I think it was. I think this is my favorite one. I think it was. It's fun.
Man, I appreciate you. I really do. Those some very kind words, and we'll stay in touch. Enjoy the off season. Hey, I can't get you out of here without asking you who's winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Please, if you really want to pander to me, you can say my team.
Uh, I, that's a good. I mean, I want to see the Warriors win it again personally because I just really really love Steph. But I mean, they got a big game tonight. I I'm not even confident in this pick. I'm probably gonna go Nuggets will play the Celtics in the chip. and then I'll go Boston. I'll go Boston to win it. I want
I
to see
like
Tatum
that.
get him one.
See
Yeah.
that's very kind. We'll see. I mean, this whole Jokic Ishbia thing is so ridiculous. I hope he's not
Yeah.
suspended, man.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, he was at fault. Just give the ball up, dude. Like, and he should know, but he's the owner. Like, you can't do that. I hope they don't suspend him. Just let it be.
Yeah,
Should he have pushed him? No, but I mean, the other dude was grabbing him too, so he just reacted. So he'll be all right.
I totally agree. Tobias Bass, I'm going to let you go though, man. Thank you again for your time. We'll chat soon down the road. Okay.